Totally cooperating. Just relax. Not doing anything. Not cooperating. All right, let's go. Oh my God. Stand up on your feet. Stay right there. Yeah. Sir, I will be very cooperative.
That's not you on the 27th? Food Line parking lot, Traveler's Rest?
I don't think so.
Look, man. Where's that?
I don't know where Edna is.
Yes, you do.
It's not making sense, though. You're the last person to be in a vehicle you wiped out of a lady that's missing.
That sounds really up. If you tell him to turn that off, I will talk to you a little more freely.
His name is Daniel Prince. After serving 30 years in prison for kidnapping, nearly 3 decades later he re-emerged. And not for reasons anyone would hope. On a seemingly ordinary day, 80-year-old Edna Subtles was captured on CCTV, meeting him in a parking lot. That brief encounter would mark the last time she was ever seen alive. Days later, investigators traced Edna's movements and uncovered chilling footage of the man behind the wheel of her car.
She's missing right now.
Yes, Dan, where is Edna?
I don't have a clue.
It quickly became clear that Edna was not his only victim.
If you tell him to turn that off, I will talk to you a little more freely.
On the morning of August 27th at around 9 a.m., Edna left her home in Traveler's Rest with plans to look after a friend. Hours later, a troubling call reached the 911 dispatch center, signaling the start of a case that would unravel into something far darker than anyone imagined.
Greenville County 911, what's your emergency?
A sitter was supposed to show up to be with my mom today. Her name is Edna Subtles, and she didn't show up. This is not like her. She shows up like clockwork. So something's wrong.
But this call was only the beginning of a chain of unsettling mysteries. When officers arrived at Edna Subtles' home for a welfare check, there was no response. The house showed no signs of forced entry, yet Edna was nowhere to be found. Her son soon revealed something troubling. Nearly $50,000 worth of jewelry had vanished along with her car. For investigators, the missing vehicle became the key. If they could locate it, they might uncover critical clues about Edna's last movements. A search began immediately, and 6 days later her car was discovered abandoned in the parking lot of a hotel in Traveler's Rest. The discovery raised more questions than answers. Edna lived nearby, so why would she have any reason to stay at a hotel? When detectives checked with the hotel staff, they confirmed that no guest by the name of Edna Subtles had been registered. To unravel the mystery, investigators turned to surveillance footage, determined to retrace her steps from the very beginning. At 9:30 a.m., surveillance footage from a nearby pawn shop captured Edna Subtles leaving her home and driving toward a Food Lion grocery store. 9 minutes later, she arrived at the store. There, a man carrying 2 bags approached her vehicle, climbed inside, and together they drove back to Edna's home. Hours passed. Then, at 1:43 p.m., Edna's Jeep once again pulled into the same Food Lion parking lot. But this time, the person stepping out of the driver's seat was not Edna. It was the same elderly white man seen earlier. He quickly moved to his own car, parked beside hers, and began transferring something from Edna's vehicle into his. At first, investigators struggled to determine what had been moved. But when they slowed the footage down, frame by frame, the truth became undeniable. In a chilling revelation, the camera revealed the unmistakable glint of Edna Subtles' golden hair. At 1:47 p.m., just 4 minutes later, the man drove Edna's Jeep into the parking lot of a local hotel, the very spot where detectives would later discover it abandoned. He stepped out, carefully wiping down the doors and seats in a clear attempt to erase any trace of his presence. By 2:14 p.m., he had returned to his own vehicle at the Food Lion and driven away. That moment would mark the final sighting of both Edna and the man who accompanied her. The most pressing question now was his identity. But grainy footage and poor camera angles made recognition nearly impossible, threatening to stall the investigation. Detectives, however, saw a potential breakthrough. When the man first entered Edna's car, he had been holding shopping bags, meaning a purchase had been made. Acting quickly, investigators pulled the store's surveillance footage. What they uncovered was chilling. The man was identified as Daniel Prince, a convicted kidnapper who had served federal prison time for abducting a woman 24 years earlier. Back in 1997, Daniel's crime in Michigan had shocked the community. He had shackled a woman's hands and held her captive, but by sheer determination, she managed to free herself and escape. For this crime, Prince was sentenced to a maximum of 30 years, but by 2009 he had been released on parole. Once free, he began working as a handyman, targeting elderly single women, the same demographic as his past victim, and now, Edna Subtles. For investigators, the truth began to sink in. They were not just dealing with a missing person. They were hunting a convicted kidnapper who might still be holding Edna alive. Every hour mattered, and time was quickly slipping away. Even with Daniel Prince's disturbing criminal history, detectives lacked the evidence to press charges for kidnapping or murder. What they did have, however, was probable cause for grand larceny involving Edna's missing Jeep. With that, a warrant was secured to arrest Prince and search his property. Officers swiftly descended on his residence, prepared for confrontation.
Totally cooperating. Just relax. Not doing anything without cooperate. All right, oh my God. Stand up on your feet. Right there. Yeah. Sir, I will be very cooperative.
Despite the overwhelming presence of heavily armed law enforcement, Prince appeared calm, collected, even calculated, as if he had already devised a plan to navigate the situation. When he was taken into custody and brought to the interrogation room, detectives employed a deliberate strategy. The questioning began with light, almost friendly conversation, a classic tactic to lower a suspect's guard. At this point, investigators concealed the fact that they already had him on camera with Edna's vehicle.
What do you do now?
I do a lot of home remodeling, home repairs. I lay a lot of tile, and I got a customer base that has me doing stuff.
Okay, so why Boston, North Carolina, come all the way down from, say, Michigan or Wisconsin?
Okay, here, this is real easy. I'm originally from the east side of the state of Michigan, but I was in prison in Michigan for a while, and when I paroled to the west side of the state.
Okay. What'd you get locked up for? Because you said you got paroled.
I was locked up for a kidnapping charge.
Okay.
And I did 13 and a half years for that.
Oh, wow.
I did 1.5 years for a false statement on a vehicle title. You know, when they're not sure if they're going to make something, they want something to hold you with. So the false statement, that's all that was. The kidnapping, I was doing some bad shit that I shouldn't have been doing.
Fair enough.
But I shouldn't have gotten kidnapping. But I was doing some bad shit.
What kind of shit? What shit have you gotten?
I really don't want to say.
We're just bullshitting. We're just bullshitting.
Nothing when you're talking to two police detectives in a room. It's just bullshit. Okay, I've been through the system enough to know that. Yeah. All I'm going to say about that is I did my time. I made my first parole, and I haven't been in trouble since.
Hey, and that's great to know. You know, a lot of people, especially being what you've been through, they come out and they go right back to it.
Prince's past alone did not prove his involvement in Edna's disappearance. Yet the evidence told a story far darker than the image of a reformed handyman he tried to present.
I talked to you about August 27th, 2021 of this year.
What day of the week was that?
Oh, it was a Friday.
Okay.
Okay, so specifically the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
What, 2 weeks ago? Do you remember where you were at?
Not specifically.
Where do you think you were at?
I've been going all over the place. I've been back and forth to Charlotte. I've been down to South Carolina.
Like, where's your jobs in South Carolina taking you?
Actually, I was down to Traveler's Rest, but I don't know if it was Friday or Thursday. I know I'd been there earlier that week.
But you don't remember which day specifically?
No, it was either Thursday or Friday.
What kind of job were you working on?
I wasn't.
You wasn't?
I wasn't. This lady had talked to me several times. I'd been down to her house 2 or 3 times. We kind of got to be friends. This woman has so many damn problems, mostly her daughter. She would call me and have me come down there.
Okay.
She said she needed to have money at one point in time to help her daughter because her daughter was in jail. Then she needed money another time because she was hiring a private investigator. Because her son-in-law she talked to me all kinds of stuff about it. We got to be pretty good friends about stuff like that.
Okay. How'd you meet her initially?
Years ago.
Okay.
Years ago, it was somebody giving me her name or number, or my name and number.
Detectives carefully observed his behavior, allowing him to speak freely and entangle himself further. Piece by piece, Prince was digging a hole he could not climb out of. And when the truth was finally placed before him, his response was predictable. He denied, deflected, and resisted, clinging to innocence even as the evidence weighed heavily against him.
What you're telling us is that's not you on the 27th? Food Line parking lot, Traveler's Rest?
I don't think so.
That's not you.
That's me. Where's that?
Food Line, August 27th, 2021, 9:23.
Okay.
32 seconds. Ringing a bell?
Yep. Yeah, I went down to Food Line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you doing down there that day?
She wanted me to look at some stuff at her house.
Okay.
And she picked me up at Food Lion because she wanted me with her when she was gonna go meet some guy for private investigator.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about that.
She wanted me to meet her down there.
Okay.
She was nervous because she says, I'm not sure I trust this guy. And she knows I've been in the military. And she says, will you meet me? She wanted me to see if this guy was going to meet her where he was supposed to meet her.
Do you know where?
There was a hotel lobby that he had finally said, meet me at the hotel.
Okay.
She says, drive up there and see if he's there. And I drove up there, and things are starting to sound really squirrely to me.
This kind of response is a classic deflection. Prince wasn't just distancing himself from suspicion, he was attempting to redirect it entirely. In this case, he tried to shift the blame onto a private investigator, claiming that Edna had arranged to meet the man the day before her disappearance, and that she felt unsafe going alone. But detectives already knew the truth. Surveillance footage captured the entire sequence of events, and it directly contradicted Prince's version of the story.
What were you driving?
I was driving a blue car.
Your wife's car or your car?
My wife's car.
So that's y'all coming down 25, you and her together?
It could be.
Okay, because that's her car. That's about 13:45 on the 27th.
Okay.
So you're with her there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not saying yeah. I'm just saying that could be her.
Yeah, here's a different angle. But I mean, we've watched this car, right?
Okay.
Here's y'all in the hotel parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh look, there's y'all backing in.
Yeah.
And a couple of different copies of it. Backing in.
Yeah.
Oh look, you get out. Nobody else gets out.
I told you that.
You're walking around the car.
Yeah.
You wipe the entire car down.
Because I was worried.
You were worried. There's you walking across the parking lot in front of Little Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
And there's you getting back into your car and driving away.
Oh, she's with me.
Look, man, you are a good dude. I honestly do believe that you screwed up years and years ago.
As the questioning continued, Prince appeared visibly shaken when confronted with photographic evidence. The images left little room for doubt, yet he persisted in weaving lies in a desperate attempt to talk his way out of the mounting case against him. Meanwhile, investigators had uncovered something even more troubling: mud packed into the wheels of Prince's vehicle, a sign that he had driven off-road. To detectives, this raised the chilling possibility that he had either killed Edna or disposed of her body somewhere remote. This was the turning point. Prince's carefully constructed narrative began to unravel.
You're not a bad guy, right? Nobody is saying that you're some evil, twisted dude, okay? We need to know where it is. We've processed the car. We found the dirt. Where did you go off-road? Where did you leave?
Oh, I can tell you exactly where she and I had gone off-road, please. When we were going from 25 south, there was, off to the right, there was a truck with a trailer and another vehicle there that had a for sale sign on it. And it looked like an older truck, and I needed a work truck. And I went ahead and I pulled in and with her, and then we pulled out. And it was right there on 25.
Even when surrounded by overwhelming evidence, he clung to denial, trying to take control of the conversation. But his composure was slipping.
Where's right now? Her family is desperately looking for her.
She's missing right now.
Yes, Dan, where is Edna?
I don't have a clue.
Yes,
I dropped her off at her house.
Dan, please listen. You did not drop her off at her house. We have followed that car the entire day up and down 25. There's a number of minutes that are unaccounted for that are not by her house.
Which car? Mine or hers?
Dan, stop playing games. You know what we're
When I
talking
got,
about.
okay, I can help you here.
Okay.
You gotta give me a second. You gotta let me answer the questions when they're asked. When I dropped her vehicle off looking for the guy, she said she wanted me to take her and drive around in my vehicle. So I left her vehicle. I went down to Food Lion and she was in my vehicle with me. And I dropped her off at home.
Dan, we watched the video. She is not
The car sits there.
It sits there, man.
No, not in her car.
Never.
My car.
We watched
I
you
dropped
go
her off
back to
with
food
my car.
line. You did not drop anyone off, man.
I picked her back up. She sat in my car at Food Line, and I went back and got her.
No, you did not.
Detectives recognized the cracks in his story and pressed harder, calling out every inconsistency and exposing every lie.
I don't know where Edna is.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Damn.
Let's go back to why you wiped the car down. What you said you were worried about what?
The only thing I did was because I knew I'd been in and out of her car all the time with her. I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm going to just leave this thing here because she's got somebody that's after her.
Cornered, Prince continued to deflect. He suggested that Edna herself may have wandered into danger, but he underestimated just how prepared these detectives were. Each excuse was dismantled, leaving him with fewer and fewer places to hide.
Who would be after her?
That guy with the truck, she said she didn't trust him.
The PI?
Yeah, so somebody she hired as a PI.
His story's totally different. He's been doing work for her. I mean, on the son-in-law thing. I mean, we've interviewed. I mean, he had no idea. He didn't meet her today. So that's just,
Right, that's why I said she hired another PI. I'm sure you're recording this.
it's not making sense of it. I mean, you're the last person to be in a vehicle you wiped out of a lady that's missing.
That sounds really fun.
It does. That's why we're here.
I've been real honest with you guys. I told you what was going on.
Detectives eventually pressed Prince into admitting that he had been with Edna on the day she vanished, but his explanation was flimsy. He claimed he was merely helping her meet a suspicious private investigator, a story detectives recognized as a desperate attempt to deflect suspicion and distance himself from the crime. Prince insisted he dropped Edna safely at her home, yet investigators had already established a critical fact. He was the last person to see her alive. That admission, locked in during interrogation, would prove to be a lie that unraveled into something far more chilling. A search of Prince's property revealed several automatic weapons. With his prior convictions, he was forbidden from owning firearms. This violation alone guaranteed federal charges that would keep him detained while investigators dug deeper. It was during that search that detectives uncovered one of the most damning pieces of evidence, a yogurt cup. Records showed that Prince had purchased it shortly before Edna's disappearance. But this wasn't ordinary yogurt. It was laced with a dangerous cocktail of drugs, lorazepam, tramadol, and cyclobenzaprine. Together, these substances can depress the central nervous system, slowing neurological functions to the point of near paralysis. In other words, Edna had been sedated. Just as cameras captured her in the parking lot, slumped inside Prince's car, she was already under the influence of the drugs he had given her. From that moment on, she was powerless to resist. The yogurt wasn't just a snack. It was the tool Prince used to lead her helplessly to her death at the hands of a sadistic killer. As the walls closed in, Prince began to realize he was cornered. With nowhere left to run, detectives brought him back in for further questioning. This time, the facade cracked. Prince made a chilling full confession, admitting not just to Edna's murder, but to 3 others: Dolores Sellers, her daughter Nancy Rigo, and Lee Goodman. Dolores Sellers was the first victim. Prince claimed he had euthanized her at the request of her daughter Nancy. But when Nancy began to have second thoughts and considered going to the police, she sealed her own fate. She became his second victim. What followed was even more disturbing. For years, Prince collected Nancy's Social Security checks, having secured her power of attorney before killing her. When investigators searched his property, they uncovered Nancy's documents dating back to 2017, years after her disappearance. Prince had even gone so far as to impersonate Nancy, sending emails and messages to her family to convince them she was still alive. His third victim was Lee Goodman, who, according to Prince, had attempted to rob him. But much like Nancy and later Edna, Lee's fate was grim. Her body was discarded in an isolated area, left to vanish into obscurity. And finally, there was Edna Subtles. Her remains were discovered nearly a year after her disappearance on May 16, 2022. Buried in a shallow grave near Prince's home in Rutherford County. Though decomposed, forensic testing confirmed her identity, allowing investigators to return her body to grieving loved ones. Even in the face of such horrific crimes, Prince clung to manipulation. Rather than showing remorse, he sought to leverage his confessions, bargaining for whatever advantage he could wrestle from the justice system.
There was quite a lot of stuff found in your B house. There could be a million explanations for some of that stuff, and I don't want to jump to conclusions. And if there's something that happened that you didn't intend to happen, let's talk about it.
There are things that have to happen, and there are things that are going to happen. And I'm a realist, and I have acceptance with this. I would like a little bit of control in how they happen. If you tell him to turn that off, I will talk to you a little more freely.
When the cameras were switched off, Prince made one final attempt to regain control and manipulate the outcome in his favor. He struck a deal with authorities. In exchange for revealing the location of Edna Subtles' body, his case would be moved to federal court. For Prince, this meant avoiding the death penalty and securing life imprisonment under the comparatively better conditions of a federal facility. At first glance, it might appear that detectives made a critical mistake by shutting down the cameras during this exchange. But what Prince didn't realize was that investigators had anticipated his move. Even after the cameras went dark, a backup audio recording continued to run in secret. It was on that hidden recording that Daniel Prince made his chilling confession, one that revealed the full extent of his crimes.
Okay, let's put it this way. A person I was very good friends with wanted to do something to put someone basically out of their misery that was very closely related to them. That's one body. That person started having an extreme amount of guilt over this and decided they were going to go tell what had happened. That's the second body. There's a third body that I did not kill, and I knew that they'd be getting Social Security disability for the rest of their life. So I got rid of said bodies, for example, so that I could continue to use the card.
By any chance, while he's getting all this squared away, can you just help me get that closure for Edna's family?
Not until I have this. I clam up like a clam if this doesn't go federal for everything.
Do you think Daniel Prince always planned to kill Edna, or was it an opportunity he couldn't resist? Should investigators have trusted his confession deal, or was it just another way for him to manipulate the system? If you found this case as chilling as I did, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories every week, and hit that like button to help others discover these hidden cases. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.